All right. Welcome, everyone, to another installment of MSP Webinars. Today we have a very special guest. We've got Matej. Gosh, I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah, you did.
We've got Matej with Autotask Endpoint Management, and he is going to give us a deeper dive into the Autotask Remote Monitoring and Management, RMM, tool. He was with us a few months ago, and we talked about best practice Windows patching using AEM. And I think today we're just going to take a deeper dive in the overall RMM product. I'm really excited. I really enjoy Autotask Endpoint Management. And I learned a ton just in the little, at the Autotask Live. So Autotask Community Live event that we did.
Yeah.
So please.
Connection is breaking up a bit. Oh, you're muting yourself sometimes. Okay, that's it. Yeah. I didn't get what you said. What the final thing you said, Steve? I think you just handed it over. Say, hey, Matej, introduce yourself. Yep. Take it away.
It's all yours. Go for it.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's actually evening for me here, everyone. And yeah, thanks for joining again. And indeed, Steve, we had a very pleasant session a few months ago, very much focused on patch management. And after that, we got in touch again and said, hey, let's do more of a tech talk on AEM, more generic, let's talk a bit more about the products, do a deep dive, but also just try to answer. I'll try to answer all your questions. So I understand you have a list of questions, and I see a number of attendees. Hopefully, they have questions as well. Before I get started, let me quickly give you like a 2-minute introduction, probably less about me. So I run product management for endpoint management. That effectively means that I work with the engineering team, and I represent the customer with my team in all our projects that we do. So we decide what we do and also how we do. We hopefully are a good voice of the customer, and then the engineering team builds it and collaboratively. Like the product management team, we communicate like on communities and do all the other stuff as well. Before what I do right now, and actually like I'm at Datto now because we're Autotask Datto or Datto. So before that I was Autotask. Before that I was CentralStage, which is the core of endpoint management. You still see it in the URLs. And before that I was at Kaseya for about 8 years. So for the last 15 years or so, I've been working at all the giants now in the industry, in the MSP space. And no intention of leaving. I love this space. So one of my big passions is the RMM product, and like even though I have a family and kids and everything, I don't nearly get enough time to talk about RMM. So I like to jump on webinars like this and spend some time with fellow geeks and talk about this. All right. So today, yeah. So AM is better than Kaseya. I think so. When I left Kaseya. From my perspective, right? I know Kaseya is still big around. Like I was there since almost the beginning here in Europe, and it is a strong and very capable product. But it was designed around the best practices of that time, so it was built around like ASP and an on-premises SQL server that worked really well. But then at a certain point, you just have to start over. And I think when I joined CentralStage, that was built around a technology stack that was how you design an RMM product today. It's fully built on Amazon AWS, so it's fully elastic, and it's designed in a way, again, how you would do it today. So we run on a lot of NoSQL storage, for example, so there are no real bottlenecks, and everything is elastic. It's really cool. So we have multiple clouds running in different parts of the world, depending on where you are. You're either checking into a European environment or American environment or Asia Pac, and we actually have 5 in total. But the what you can imagine with RMM is sometimes it's really, really busy and there are a lot of things happening, millions of agents online at the same time. And then you see a drop off because people go home and we have a lot less jobs to process, a lot less monitoring metrics coming in, a lot less administrators logging into our web consoles. So the whole cloud scales down, and when it gets busier, it scales up again. And when it's really busy, we automatically scale up even more. So we have more job service available, more like check-in servers. It's really cool. And with what I really like about AEM is the fact that even though we try to give you a complete feature set of everything you need, we try to be really smart about it and decide like, is this really necessary? Isn't this just a checkbox for checkbox sake? So we try to keep it simpler. We try to solve real problems rather than just add you features for feature's sake. Anyway, I think the platform is what has set us apart in recent years, because when I joined Autotask, when the business was acquired by Autotask Center Stage, it was very light on features. We had a lot of people, a lot of companies join us because of the promise, really, more than anything else. And then in a matter of 2-3 years, I think we worked really hard on key features, like adding new features that people wanted. We had this saying of filling the gaps. We knew that there were RMM products out there that were more mature. They've been around for like a decade longer, and we worked on filling those gaps, and we've done so with I think great success. Like we did a lot of work on patch management and even like remote control and VMware and antivirus integrations. We've had Hyper-V integration and a lot of work recently in our monitoring release earlier last year, followed with our public API release, another like key feature that people want. And then we have a couple of really cool things coming up this year. We have like pretty big roadmap, but the key thing here is the initial major release is the reporting release. Happy to show a bit more about that if you want me to. And then a couple of other really cool things that we're working on. But I think we were only able to do that moving that fast because of like the platform. The platform is solid, and we're only now starting to touch what it's really capable of. I think over the next period you'll see more exciting things from us as well. I think we've been looking at the unification with our Autotask PSA product as a key unique selling point for the last couple of years, and I think this is a year where we're going to invest a lot more in making it even in more interesting for people that don't have PSA. So as a standalone, we want to be the strongest RMM product in the market and do some amazing things with the cloud and with our agents. I mean, essentially, we have millions of agents out there in the field managing all these servers, workstations, network devices now, and it's a really good tool. But I ultimately think the RMM market has been kind of stale for the last couple of years, perhaps even 10 years. The feature set has been set. It's more about how you do things, how you keep it simple, how you scale. Because a lot of the systems out there, they do have a tendency of falling over at a certain moment. But now I think, especially with Datto behind us, I think we're gonna be able to show you some really cool things. All right, that was the introduction. If you've not seen AEM, and I'll probably share my screen more than. It's probably better to share my screen. Steve, are you still there, by the way?
I most definitely am.
Okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll give you a brief introduction on AEM, and then what I remember from the last time, we'll do a lot of Q&A as well. But probably as a level set, let me just start off with what is AEM, how it's structured, assuming that not everybody knows what AEM is. So with AEM, we do device management. We have all these devices under management. You can like get agents on your device for Windows and OS X, Mac OS, and Linux. And then we have mobile apps for iOS and Android. And we do agentless monitoring for network devices, printers, and E6i hosts. But ultimately, you'll see them all in the same list. We're all for unified device management. So it all should still be in the same structure. There's no different module for network management or anything. It's the same way. And all these devices, like they communicate with our cloud platform. So when I look at this server, for example, this is a Windows server. It's running an agent, and what we do for this server is we capture some basic information. We have monitoring going on, real-time monitoring on this device, checking all kinds of things. We have some activity going on, but like a big part of what you want to do as an MSP is monitor and manage and remote into all these devices. And for us, it starts with audit, like it's supposed to be, right? If you don't know what you have, you can't really manage it. So all the agents, they run at least on a 24-hour basis, they run an audit, and you capture all the hardware and software and system information. And like we have all the change logs, etc. We capture everything. Then we do things like patch management, and we do so policy driven. And you can through policy, you can approve or deny specific patches, and they will be installed at a certain interval. So every patch, like this patch policy runs every Saturday. We do all kinds of alerting. These are the alerts that are results of all kinds of monitors that run on the endpoint. We have support tools. We have reports. We have everything you expect. I think when you look at how the system works and where it's different, it's how easy it is to navigate. First of all, it's only web-based, of course. You see all these different tabs here. That's like for a single device. So this device is audit, manage, monitor, support, and report. And by the way, policies all the way to the right. This is how we configure the agent. But when I look at one level above the agent, it's the site level. And for this one, it's called ABC Fresh Demo Core. Same tabs, but different information. So when I look at the audit here, I look at the network discovery for that network, or the hardware or software lists for that complete network. So the navigation is the same. You can, like, from a site level, quickly find anything that you want. When you look at patch management, you have all the patch information for that specific site, etc., etc. And then you even have the same structure, but then on the account level, which is one level above site. So it's like a pyramid, and the structure is completely the same. And like how you do management in the end, it's all based on filters or policies, right? As an MSP, you want to standardize as much as possible. The way it works in the world of AEM, so you have all these filters. These are basic filters, that default filters that come with the system. You can build your own filters. You can filter on anything that you want in the system, all the information that we capture and audit. And what you'll see is that it's very straightforward. You'll have policies, and these policies, they do all the work. So you have monitoring policies and patch management policies, and you have policies for power management and monitoring maintenance windows and how your agent is configured. And when you look at a policy like that, just open a Cisco router policy, you'll see that it's targeting a filter, and it has a bunch of configurations. So in this case, monitors, and every single monitor will have some settings. Like in this case, like, hey, when we generate an alert if this device is offline or online for a while, then raise an alert, resolve it if it's no longer applicable. And we can run scripts, components they're called in our world. These scripts, I'll talk a bit more about that in a few minutes as well. And then you can send emails or you can create tickets in your PSA system. So the trick with AEM is having the right filters, having the right policies in place. And then you can go into a device and look at that device again and look at the policies. You can simply see what is applied to the device. You can turn it off. You can even go to the monitoring list, see what is applied, and again, make exceptions there. So you can look to this device and look at the list and to say, hey, I don't want to monitor this service or this event log anymore. So it's really that straightforward. And then there are two more things, and again, I try to keep the introduction quick because I know some people really do know AEM here. So there are two more concepts that I do want to point out. One is the remote control tool. So within AEM, you can from anywhere you can remote control. When it's a network device, you'll see things like SSH or HTTP. For a Windows device, you'll see RDP, VNC, or Splashtop. And when you connect to that device, it will launch the agent browser. This is the agent browser. That's a Windows application. And you can do a lot of things with the agent browser. You can do restart services. You can do commands. You can do event viewer, all in the background. You can look at the disks. You can do a network scan. You can look at performance graphs, etc. You can reboot the device. You can chat with the user, and of course, you can remote control into to devices as well. So we use three different tools: Splashtop, VNC, and RDP. Depending on what your use case is, you can use one or the other. I have some really cool things to say about those three in a second. It's like very short-term roadmap. But this is the remote control tool, and one of the other cool things that you can do in the remote control tool is run scripts, components again, as they are called. And these components are you can just run them on an endpoint, and they'll report back if you do. So I can just install Firefox here. So you can run scripts. So that's a remote control tool. And then the final bit, quite essential for what we do, is the COM store. And the COM store is where we publish all kinds of scripts, monitors, best practices, and we keep them up to date. So the only thing you have to do from here is you click on the application that you want, and you just add it to your component library, and then it's managed by you. It's in your system. You can schedule it. And there are all kinds of policies. This is more of a recent addition, but you can go into our COM store and find all these monitor policies and say, hey, I want to check this Synology policy, and then you'll see that it comes pre-populated with everything you need in the policy, the target and the different checks to do like CPU check on a network device or temperature, etc., etc. All right. That was the 10-minute introduction into AEM. I think from here we can dive a bit deeper into the product.
So the one thing I got to say I've always liked about AEM is the device browser. It's all like tab based, so you can open up the items that you actually want to utilize and just kind of switch back and forth between them. I don't know. I guess I just always liked that.
Yeah.
And I also like that, as you connect to multiple devices, they just show up in that list in the top left. So you don't have to have a bazillion windows open if you're doing manual processes across all your devices.
Yeah.
And then for those of you that like the log me in or team viewer method of listing all the devices, once you connect to one, I'm pretty sure all you have to do is connect to a device, and then it kind of like auto logs you in, and then you can just go down to the list in the bottom left and have access to all the devices you have access to. Which I've even given end users access to just like their device, and the AEM browser was actually easy for them to learn.
Yeah. You like I do know. Like within any customer we generally have two types of roles. One is more the operational manager who does all the automation and the policies and the proactive tasks and the monitoring configuration. And then you generally have the support guys that need to respond to whatever comes out of the RMM system. And we do see quite a few of the support guys just work with this tool. It's very fast. It's very, very efficient. And perhaps this and their help desk system, that's their role. They don't even have to log into AEM for most of the things. We are actually in the next minor update that we're doing later this month, where we're tying this even a bit closer to the web portal. So for any device, you can quickly jump into the corresponding pages in AEM for that device. So even like if you want to still check the change log or anything like on this device, quickly check the policy configuration, you can easily do that from the agent browser. So just tying it in a bit closer.
So when do we get to start asking you all the tough questions?
Well, anytime. I fully anticipated this to be like a highly interactive session. I mean, I could talk a bit about what we're working on, but I'd rather do that based on the questions you feed me.
So I'm genuinely interested in what are you working on? Like, high level overview. What do you expect to change with AEM in the next, 6 to 12 months and then beyond?
Okay. So let me put some background on, right? I'll talk about it. So we have very short term, we have a bit more medium term, and then we have long term. In the very short term, we're doing our minor releases, which is the dot releases, 5.6 and 5.7, and we're going to give. And this is not something our customers have to worry about because our platforms and our agents update automatically. You'll just see a notification when you log in, and then somewhere this month you'll see that we do our maintenance release that has a couple of very nice smaller features and enhancements. I mean, it's generally like fixing things, but one of the key things there is we're rolling out a new Splashtop version that gives people the option to do user support in a terminal server. There are a lot of other enhancements there, but you'll be able to switch between the different users that are logged in to an endpoint, and that's kind of a biggie for our customers. The second thing is the maintenance release after that will bring remote control tools to Mac OS. It's not a full-fledged browser, but you'll be able to do remote control like instantly when you're using a Mac, so you don't need to use parallels or anything like that. So that's immediate term almost. That's what's being what's going to go through testing. Like the first one is almost wrapped up with testing, and the second.
So just to clarify, so I am using a MacBook Pro right now, and you're saying that me as the technician will be able to use my Mac without having parallels to start doing tech support with AEM.
Correct.
It's pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. So Splashtop, VNC, and RDP. That's the plan. You just click on one of the links, and our agent, because you still need an agent on your device, right? Our agent sets up this secure tunnel, and we completely rely on our own network. And then over this encrypted tunnel, you'll be able to use all these tools without setting up a VPN or doing anything else.
Yeah. Now, So someone asked if the new version of SplashTop will also support multiple monitors at one time. And just to clarify, I know that you can switch between monitors, but I think he wants to know, will it support viewing like both or all three or however many monitors that users got up at once?
Yeah. There's a whole list of very significant SplashTop enhancements. And multi-monitor support is one. There are ways of like multiple connections to the same endpoint. It's actually like you can, if you have AEM, you can go into our community post right now. So if you're an AEM customer, you can download this SplashTop version already and just test it before it even hits. I think it's gonna start rolling out the 19th of this month. So.
Oh wow! So they're going to have that soon.
Yeah, that's the terminal server and
not the Mac part. I understand.
No. That's the subsequent release. Yeah.
So, all right, and then with that, I know SplashTop also has their, I don't even know what they call it, the
SOS.
Thank you. Where you can do tech support for people on their iPhones and iPads. What do you have? You got something?
So we're not looking to integrate the SOS product at this moment, which is a more ad hoc remote control, right? It's agentless, and you have to imagine our business is focused on like the device management, right? We don't just care about support. We want to know what the device is doing and if it's still healthy, and
Sure.
Only then we respond. We do see a lot of customers use SOS. I mean, it's a separate tool. You pay a separate license for it, but it also integrates with Autotask PSA, so you can send people a link instantly, and then you can jump on a session. I think they have they demoed some way of remote controlling viewing an iOS device, which is more based on the AirPlay protocol. I think that got pulled already because Apple doesn't really want you to do those things. So Apple has been very sensitive about people remote controlling iPhones for obvious reasons. I have to double check that. Like, don't take my word for it. I'm not an SOS expert, but yeah, it's always something we wanted to do, remote control mobile phones, etc. Because when you look at it, like when I analyze the requirements that people have for MDM, I mean, we do a bunch of things already. We can like audit the device, and we can track changes, and we can even set some profiles, etc. But when you ask people what do you want for a phone, it's just like remote control the screen. It's helping these users that somehow messed up their phone, and you want to help them. And pushing a policy doesn't really cut it for those kind of scenarios. So we're definitely looking into that. We're also looking into more options like remote controlling from phones and iPads and I don't know, Chromebooks, things like that. So the way we see our world evolve is agents or devices everywhere. We want AEM to be able to manage any device that you're responsible for as an MSP. And then we also see admins everywhere. So whatever device you prefer, I mean, if your world is a Chromebook or an Apple, I mean, it should all be working equally as well. So that's where we're taking this. And then, of course, a lot of other exciting stuff around that as well. But this is like you always have to balance between what do you give people in the short term before you bring the bigger items that take forever. So this is the immediate term, at least. There's nothing I can really announce like for remote controlling phones, as you can imagine. So the big thing after this, and I'm happy to take more questions on this, and this has been in the works for quite some time now. That's the next major release. It's the reporting release. I can show you quite a bit about that today if you want to, but the I think the one remaining item that people really wanted from AEM is just better reporting, because it's essential. If you're delivering a managed service, you want to tell your customers that you're doing a good job. And also sometimes you need information for other reasons. You want to look at the bigger picture and see if there are any exceptions, for example. And there are multiple ways of getting data from AEM. I mean, we have reports already. We have a public API available now. We have exports, and we have an integration with very deep integration with Autotask PSA. I mean, it's all there, but we still saw that this came up as a regular issue. So we worked really hard on our reporting engine. Sometimes it's not just about building better looking reports. It's also about like better data. And I can talk a bit more about that in the lights of patch management, for example. But essentially what you'll see with this release is you'll have a new scheduler that gives you a lot more flexibility. And then you have all kinds of new reports. You know what? Let me just show you, because like this is really not a session for PowerPoint. Yeah, right. So this is alpha code, right? So stuff will break. The AEM v6 will do a bunch of different things, but one of them is reporting. And the way reports and jobs can be scheduled in the new version is different. You can go from anywhere, create a new job or a report. You can even go from your components list and select a few components and say, hey, schedule a new job with these components. But I'm gonna run a report now for these 4 customers. And what you can do is you just click from here, schedule report. And this brings you to the new reporting scheduler. And the new reporting scheduler, this is where you'll see a lot of flexibility. Well, first of all, you have the choice now between aggregate reports and individual reports. In the past, we had essentially 4 PDFs. If you wanted to report 4 customers, you get 4 PDFs. But what we also see is that sometimes you have 4 different locations, and you just want to have, or 10 different locations, you want to have one combined report. That's the aggregate report. So that's a big new thing. We now are multilingual, English, German, which is not all caps, I promise. It's just actual German and Spanish. And then already you see this. The report targets are populated. And this is really cool, because you can now target anything. You can say for these filters, like show me a report for only like all the desktop devices, and then you can add just a few agents or a few sites, and you can like just change the target for your report. And then based on your need, you can select one of the following categories or one or more. We have executive level reporting, which is the new executive summary, or a device health summary. You'll have audit level reporting, which is around storage, or like all the information we gather around software or hardware or the network discovery. So you'll be able to show what is out there that we're currently not managing. You'll be able to run reports against your monitoring, your alerts, your monitoring, real-time monitoring information, your patch management reports, activity, and then a different category of exports. And all of these reports, they have something like they're standard, but they're flexible. So, I mean, if you look at a patch detail report, for example, you can say, oh, only show me patches that are approved or installed, and only show me these columns. If you look at monitor metrics or monitor status, for example, you can say, show me all not responding monitors. Do that for these. If you look at a patch activity report, you can do a date range filter, because this is where it makes sense, right? Not all reports have date range, because like when you're looking at audit data, it doesn't make sense. If you look at executive level reporting, you can select your different sections. You can do so many different things that you could do before. Like reports were static, and this solves pretty much all the use cases that we've seen. Where like, hey, I need a custom report designer, but that's why we opened up our API. So now BrightGauge or IT Glue or all the others can talk to our API, and it's a very standard REST API. I can show you how that works in a second as well. But so this is the engine, and the engine offers like so much more control on what you want to get out of AEM. So that's a very big thing for that 6.0 release. There's a whole lot more. I mean, I'm happy to take follow-on questions on all the stuff that I just showed you, Steve. If you have them or you want me to continue, I'm happy to do that as well.
No, that looks really cool. I think the reporting is something that, once it's available, we'll just need to kind of play with it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, true.
Now, this report that you're showing us here, is this one of the reports that'll come out of AEM?
Yeah.
It's really pretty. I like it.
Yeah, so this is a very straightforward report on paper. It's not actually to calculate it. So we did a lot of in the background work. For example, for antivirus, I think this is not like notoriously hard. It's a hard problem to solve. How to properly say if your device is well protected. Up to this point, we were always relying on Windows Security Center information or like all kinds of checks that we run. But the industry, of course, is not standardized on a single AV product. There are many great ones out there. And even if you have a mixed customer, you still want to be able to say, hey, it's properly running and it's up to date. So we actually did build quite a bit of logic for most antivirus products that we encounter in a project we call Universal Antivirus Detection. So it works across workstations and servers, and out of the box, we'll be able to say this device is properly protected or not. And it doesn't really matter what antivirus product it is. And then like that is reflected in a simple check in the report. But the work that we have to do on the agent and on the platform to get to that point is quite hard. But this report will grow over time. So we'll be adding more to this year. One of the key initiatives that we're going to work on is more policy-driven software management. So keeping third-party applications up to date. So you'll see another column appear here. Like software management is in order. So it's now fully patched. Third-party applications are properly secured. It has sufficient disk space. It has sufficient RAM. It's under warranty, which is new as well. So some really cool things there.
I really like the look of this report. I like the. I just like seeing, charts like this. It's nice to be able to show, just at a glance, what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed that you guys are starting to do that. Now, so let's say I want to, schedule a bunch of reports. So let's say hypothetically we've got both the PSA and the RMM from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to automatically look at the PSA and know what contact to send it to?
No.
Okay.
There are things that we're going to do, pulling in information from the PSA. That's more around contract management. So we want to be able to, for a device, see like what services are being sold to the device, so we can automate the next step in AEM. But most of the things that you'll see in AEM or like with the integration are AEM feeding the PSA system. And we need to do it like that. So we feed PSA all the assets, and we keep that like in sync in real time. We feed it alerts, and we close them, resolve them. We add all kinds of nodes, and we do a lot of great things there. We have single sign-on, but we're not always pulling in information from PSAs. And the reason for that is that when you have a PSA system, your world starts to become the PSA system. You want people to live in the PSA system, and the more information you have there, the better, because that's where people get their next action. That's where people track their time. That's where people see enriched information with contracts and everything. And you want to keep it like that. So you don't want to have them do everything from AEM. And it should be like that. Now, there are certain things that make sense for us to pull in from a PSA system, but it's basic stuff like contracts, so we can automate the delivery. And then another point, we don't want to just develop features in a way that it just works with PSA, or that AEM only works well if you have Autotask PSA. We want the whole industry to really want this product. We want to build the best RMM out there. There are some unique things that we have developed with PSA, Autotask PSA, and we're really proud of that. But if you use ConnectWise, that's fine with us as well. Or if you use any of the other PSA systems.
So let's talk about that for a minute. You want to build the best RMM tool that's out there. Mm-hmm. So here's where the tough questions come.
Yeah.
So if we were to look at Kaseya, or I think they're calling it Automate now, formerly LabTech.
Right, yeah.
So if we were to look at both of those tools, we would see that they have a very different method of doing scripting, where they've actually got this whole scripting engine. Mm-hmm. Where you so I'm going to give you credit where credit's due. I love that with building a script in your tool, I can upload a file right to the script, mm-hmm. and then I can simply say file.exe and reference that in the script without having to do weird things like tell the computer to download it and figure out what folder it's going to put it in and all that stuff. So mm-hmm. within this script right here, you can literally just type in 7za.exe and it works.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. With Kaseya, I'm finding that they have made it easy for you to build more complex scripts, and even with LabTech, than you would necessarily know how to write because of the script builder tool. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, coming from that world and really seeing what all the other products are doing in the industry, there are things that I like, but I'm a heavy scripter myself. I've always I built a ton of Kaseya scripts, and I think they're still using them to this day in the agent procedure language, which is like a layer on top of this. But if you're a power user, eventually you start just using that logic to deploy your own script files. I mean, most of the things you want to do today is just in PowerShell, because PowerShell, that's where you can process variables in a way that you really want to, and you can run the checks in a way that you really want to. So it's useful to a certain point, but if you're more advanced, you probably want to get access to the code, and with a lot of these other engines that they actually obfuscate the code from you, and they create this other abstraction layer that you have to go through to get to the thing that you really want to troubleshoot. So
I see your point. I do. But coming from the guy that can barely make Hello World work, it would be nice if there was a more drag and drop platform for script building. And I know that that's not for everyone. Some people, just want to write their script with, VB or PowerShell or whatever. I guess it would just be nice to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I mean, I see your point. Well, I'm not 100% convinced we need to do that to become more mature. I think a lot of the power users prefer this, and then for the like the people that don't want to do it, it's probably safer not to do it, and that's why we have Comstore, right? That's where we have all these scripts for you. Of course, we see people using like auto IT scripts. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that, I mean, it's like essentially gives you a very simple logic, and it gives you an executable once you finish it. It's pretty powerful.
I do agree that the way it is built right now is still easy, to the point, and very powerful. And it does make, like, again, with the ability to just reference a file that you've uploaded without having to figure out folders and all that stuff, that has added huge power to your scripting. Now, going back to what you said about the Comstore, though, I always felt like the Comstore could have more.
Mm-hmm.
So when are you going to just open that up and let everyone put their components in there, Matej?
That is not the immediate plan. There's the reason for that is that as it is right now, we support and maintain every single component out there. People want to rely on these components, and if it doesn't work, they want to like talk to someone to have it fixed. We of course have a community, and I think we can do much more integrating the community in the product. So like it should always it's going to end up being something separate, something like a community Comstore where it's clearly different from what we deliver, right? So we have like almost a combination of like the curated stuff that we put out there, and then the community stuff, and perhaps with ratings. It's definitely on our list of things that we want to get to. We always said like there are bigger problems for us to work on right now. We actively engage with our communities and get like scripts from anywhere. Here, just this one, for example. Thanks to Matteo from the AEM community, right? So like we and with we, I mean my team as well. Like we look at our communities, and if people have great best practices, they like are worthy of the Comstore. We want to get them and upload them and maintain them after we like test them.
What about unsupported third-party forums or things like SamePage?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, so Joshua said, do you have any other component sharing locations outside of SamePage that you could recommend? I am a new AEM user, and the SamePage location is currently locked down with too many users. I don't mind it not being a supported solution from Autotask.
Yeah, so it's the SamePage community, and drop me a line if you can't get on. I think I mean it's run by one of our customers from way before from Center Stage. It's always been around. People like the fact that there's something out of like our control. We do see a lot more on this on our new community. We're working with the community system to get more of a file sharing capability in place as well. So we want to pull more towards our own community. I think you'll see that happen in the like first half of the year. SamePage is going to be around, but ultimately, I don't think there should be a need for anything else like that. Is there another community? I know there are some like more regional groups. I know a lot of a lot of MSPs that like tend to group up and share their best practices among among each other. So we have like a German group, and I know a Dutch group here, and I know some organizations that do a lot of work in building their own policies and then sharing them with a smaller group, which is not ideal. I always like to have everyone share it with everyone. It's better for everyone. But this is a call out as well. I mean, if you have something that's worthy of like it's a best practice, always send it our way. And if you have a need and you're like, hey, I need to have this problem solved, I mean, it works well just to go to our own community and post it there and say, hey, I need this, because there's so many really good scripters out there, or like a lot of best practices that are not just available everywhere. So this, by the way, this is the new community. We launched that in December as well, which has everything on all our products. And there is this new section called ideas. So if you're missing a feature in AEM, go here or vote for it. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So first 3 are gonna materialize fairly soon.
So let's talk about those first 3. Update to patch management to include third-party apps.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. It's very exciting.
Yeah. So this is software management, and what that's going to do is we're going to give you a policy, and it's going to be very straightforward. You're gonna have a list of applications. You can determine if you want to keep them up to date or install them if they're not present, and you're going to be able to keep Java and Flash and etc. up to date without any hassle. And then I think the big thing that comes with that is the ability to say this device is compliant or not. And so, I mean, even though right now you can install all these applications already, it's not really, I mean, there's some manual effort going on, but we want to make it more seamless. The big thing is also saying, hey, to your customers, this device is properly secured.
So I mean, how is that going to work? Is it built on Chocolatey, Ninite, using your existing components?
No, it's not going to work. No. So we investigated multiple options. I'll just show you what it's going to look like in a second. So okay, and I mean, it's like some reservations here. We're very much like we're not coding this, so we're complete on how we want to do it, and we know that after the reporting release, this is like together with dashboards our next priority. So what we're going to give you is something like this. So software management will be done through a policy, and like you don't have to worry about the application, and we're going to maintain the applications for you, and this is going to grow over time. But we're going to start with at least the top 10 applications that you care about, that the ones that are generally the ones that are being targeted with exploits. They're internet facing, and everybody runs them, and there are new versions every couple of weeks. So you'll have this policy, and then this policy will have a schedule. You have your managed applications, and then you can decide for every application, is it going to be managed or unmanaged? And unmanaged means we're not going to touch it. Managed then has 3 options. Either, hey, if you find it, just keep it up to date. Or if it's not already installed, just install it and keep it up to date. You can't install it and not keep it up to date. And then finally, you say audit only. So we're not going to install anything. We're just going to be able to check if it's the latest version. And so
great for the customers that aren't paying you for fully managed.
Exactly. And then, but you can still, from the different views, you can go into a device, to the software management page, list your managed applications, see what the current version is, the latest version, your policy, and then you can, even if it's audit only or in managed, you can still manually update it. You can do that, and then
cool.
Yeah. So this is how we're going to do that. We already have Chocolatey integrations and Ninite in the Com store. That's all great, but we felt it actually added a layer of complexity for our customers, so we wanted to keep it really simple. So this is how we're going to do that.
And is this going to cost extra? That'll be included. Okay. Because I will say, other RMM tools, they charge extra for the third-party patch management.
Yeah. Well, that's because a lot of the tools out there, they don't build it themselves. So they what you'll see is that Lumention Lumention is used for most of the others at the moment. So they have to pay.
Gotcha. So that's very exciting. I'll give you that. The fact that an admin can't already edit and delete other people's filters blows my mind. So I'm glad that it looks like that's going to be top of your list soon.
It is, together with a couple of really interesting things. Being able to see what a filter is used for. So right now, when you delete a filter, we'll tell you if it's used by something important, right?
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, but that's what we have today. So when you delete it, you actually see that it's.
Oh, okay. See, I never deleted a filter.
No, but we actually feel it makes sense to get to a point where you don't have to delete a filter to see if it's used by anything important. So that's what we're doing. We're going to work on grouping filters. So a lot of our larger customers, they have tons of filters. We want you to be able to structure them in a way, and we're going to be able to. We're going to give you the ability for any filter, also the default filters, to inspect them. Like what are they used? Like what are they checking for?
So let me throw this out there for you. I always thought, and you can just open any of the custom ones you've made.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought it would be fantastic when building a custom filter to have, let me find here we go. Somewhere like around here. Make this box bigger or something, right? But show us a list of all the systems that are going to be in the filter. Because right now I have to save the filter, look at the filter, and see what systems are in that filter. It'd be nicer if we could just reduce all of those steps and, let me see the systems, because typically I already know a couple of the systems that should be in a filter, and I'm just trying to figure out if I'm building the filter correctly at that point. Because especially when you start doing multiple types of criteria with these two different pluses here, and I bet there are some people that just don't realize that those two different pluses do two different things.
Yeah. This is more long term, but we're actually working towards a similar goal. I completely agree with you that filters are really important. They are the foundation for a lot of policies, a lot of automation. They're essential. Now, we are working on some bigger changes in the backend, so we use different searches. And what we actually want to do is add the capability to do something like saved searches. So you're like right now, when you look at devices, or like you look here, you can already filter things, right? You can say, show me the desktops. Well, imagine that you can stack all these criteria together, and then you have your list, and then you save it, and that's your filter.
That's cool.
So that requires you have to imagine that we're always thinking in scale here. It's especially finding and filtering data is very sensitive to us. We have so many filters running on at every second. So any change there could have big implications. And we're getting there. That's
So someone asked about an AEM mobile app.
Yeah, there is one. It's called Center Stage still, and it's on iOS.
How great does it work? He's afraid to answer is how great it works. Okay, guys.
No. Okay, so there are three things that I like and two things that I really dislike. So the things that you can do with it are actually kind of useful. So you can run a component on an endpoint, or you can run a command line.
Okay.
So you have your list of components. So in theory, you could just like reboot or fix something without remote control. But that also brings me to the thing that I don't like, because often I just want a remote control if I want to do something from mobile. So I also have the Splashtop app on my phone. I prefer that. And then the other thing is, and that we definitely need to fix that, is you have to log in every single time. It doesn't remember your credentials. So I have complex passwords, and to me that like we don't see enough usage to spend a lot of time on that right now. And our vision doesn't really include the app per se. We want to give you more of a great experience from everywhere. But it's there, and like it's getting used, but it's not perfect now.
So let's talk about it from a grander scale. Then you want it to be used from everywhere. So I will just come out and say that the app is kind of not great. Simply because the thing that I would want to do most is remote control. And at the community live event last year, I said something to one of your product managers, and he simply said that remote control from a tablet or a smartphone is just simply not something that many people want to do. So it's not on your radar, and that just blew my mind. That you, I mean, I guess it's like more of a, which came first, chicken or the egg? Like, okay, so you've got an app and you're seeing that not many people are using it, but maybe it's because it's not good enough to be used.
Oh yeah, but I don't think the metric that we look at is just app usage, because indeed, but even in the rest of the product, if nobody's using a feature, is that because it's poorly designed, it's not working properly, or nobody needs it, right?
Right.
Now, we do see that the average customer we cater for, the MSP, like they work from this MSOC, this NOC, where they do a lot of the remote support calls. Mm-hmm. And an app is more in a nice to have category for those kind of customers. And there are specific must-haves that we have focused on for the last years, right? Like this app is rarely a reason why people don't want AEM.
So I'm not saying that I wouldn't want AEM because the app sucks. I'm simply saying it would be nice to be able to do remote control from an iPad. I'm not saying repair the app. What I am suggesting is, what if you just put a splash top button next to each device when you can tell that it's an iPad or an Android? Just let it launch the splash top app and let us remotely connect. I guess that's my thought. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot that would have to happen. It's not like you simply add the button and it magically works. But I just, it would be cool if you could figure out how to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. You could theoretically already get the Splashtop for Business license and then remote control into our agents at the moment. If you roll out the Splashtop installer from the Com store and you inject your business code, then you can do it from your app, Splashtop app.
Can you show us how to do that? Because I feel like that's really important. Sure. And that's worth spending a few minutes on.
Okay. So let me. So I'm gonna pre-install Splashtop Streamer on Windows. So this is the component. This is the Splashtop installer, right? So what I can then do is select a few devices, schedule a job, and say, right now install Splashtop. Mm-hmm. And then there's a Splashtop key. like you don't have to populate it. You can.
Oh. So if I'm paying for Splashtop Business, there's a key that I get from the Splashtop website somewhere in my account. I pop that in there, and then it
So you
tells me, okay.
So you can log into Splashtop. You'll get a code there. So anybody that deploys it with that code, you can just copy it in.
So then this gets even more interesting. How do I want to word this? So I see it's got the variable for Splashtop key. And then could you go back to the Splashtop app real quick? Guys, please don't use his key.
Oh no, I don't. I don't care, because you effectively give me remote control on your machine.
Oh, that's true. that would be really stupid of you. Never mind. All right. So it looks like if you were to, can you go back to that area where it shows the key? Okay, so you can create a new package. So we could have a package for each client, and each one would have its own special key then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you can. There are specific features in the Splashtop Business product, so you can have groups, and you could only have access to a specific group.
I guess more or less what I was saying is I could create a group for each client. I could create a deployment package for each group, which would effectively give me a unique key for each client.
Yeah.
So could I then go into AEM? So let's pop into AEM, and then let's go look at a client site. And if we go to settings, and scroll down to the variables. So you could add a variable, and we could call it Splashtop key, and you could pop that in there, and it looks, there you go. Now from there, I assume we'd have to modify or copy and modify the existing Splashtop.
No.
It would automatically pull that?
Yeah, so the way that works, and that's actually a pretty cool feature of the components. If the site variable exists already with the same name as in the component, it will actually inject that in the script. You can still populate it at runtime in the component or in that input field there, and it will override it. But if you don't do anything, it will just use the variable.
And if you were to schedule, if you were to just checkbox one of those computers and go through the motions as if you were going to run that, does it pre-populate it before you actually hit the run button?
No, because it actually knows it the moment it runs it on the endpoint. And bear in mind, you can schedule the same job for 1 million different devices across 10,000 sites.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that already makes me so much happier.
So
with AEM, the fact that you have that right there, just tickles me. How's that?
Yeah.
All right. So sold. Already signed, right?
Yeah. So and then you have the app, and then
all those devices will just show up in their respective groups.
Yeah.
Based on the code.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's already 1 million times more than what I expected you were going to tell me could happen. So kudos to you, sir. Thank you. Eric asked, when can we connect to a device without having to have the AEM agent installed? That's something I definitely missed from AVG Managed Workplace. That's what I call fighting words.
Right now, you have to understand that the technology relies on this secure tunnel. So your endpoint will have to set up a tunnel. And we need our agent to do that. So that's why we need the agent. It has the capability of setting up the tunnel with the cloud, and then the remote endpoint does that as well. So we need some form of code right now to run. So even for the macOS remote control that we're launching, well, like soon in 5.7, even though you don't have this whole experience, you still need an agent on your device to be able to set up the tunnel.
Gotcha.
So there are some initiatives that we have in the works, but it's too early to talk about that right now. So for the foreseeable future, you're going to have that agent on your endpoint.
So if I'm understanding correctly, either have an agent and use the full-blown app, or have Splashtop for Business, so that way you can simply remotely control a device without having to have the app.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's a cool thing I just want to throw out there, because I'm not sure a lot of people realize that this is an option. So if we were to look at, and I'm fuzzy because I've never done it myself. My understanding is right now from your computer, you could access the web page of a printer at a client site.
Yeah.
And it's because of that special VPN you guys are building.
Yeah, so what you could do is, like, when you click on a printer, for example, or any device, because they all have the same options, you can connect to through the remote agent. So in this case, like, you select a network node, one agent that could do it.
Okay.
And then you can talk to any URL. Yeah.
So I see. Okay, so open browser automatically. I assume that's what would open the web browser, so that we could connect to that printer. So I assume you'd have to check that, and I assume you'd have to.
I wasn't really set up for this. I can demo it if you want to, but I'm gonna have to probably switch environments.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you don't click this one, it will just show you a link, and you click, and then you just have to open the link manually. But yeah, effectively, yeah, there are two types of connections. There's the proxy connection and the tunnel connection. The proxy is where we on the remote endpoint temporarily run an HTTP proxy, and that interfaces in this case with this IP. We populate that automatically because we know the IP, but you can still change it or change the port. And then that local proxy will redirect all the connections to your endpoint, and you'll be connected through a local host IP and a different port, like how you're connecting to the printer. The other thing that we have is more of the and actually SSH works the same way, but it's not a proxy. It's a tunnel, and then we open PuTTY automatically for SSH or Telnet. So you only need that one agent to connect to any port over there. And then finally, the most flexible option is the custom tunnel, and this allows you to connect to like any port, even like the RDP port, and then say, you know what, fire up
MSDSC or whatever.
Yeah, and then you can do something like this, and then you'll be able to like connect to any remote port, to any in any network, as long as you have a network node available. So this is really cool if you have other management tools that you just need to use, or like SQL tools, or anything, and you don't have it installed remotely, you only have it locally, and you just set up the custom tunnel. It's not a VPN, so it doesn't create a virtual interface temporarily on that remote endpoint that might mess up things. It's just a port redirection in a very smart way.
Did everybody catch all that? Because that's a really cool feature that I never realized was in there until maybe a couple months ago. And did everyone understand how to use it? So just to clarify, once you once you do the connect part, you got to choose one of the devices on the network in the via network node section.
Correct.
And then you can hit start.
Yeah.
Got it. Do you have any plans to add basically SSL, so HTTPS, to that?
Yeah. That is being worked on as we speak. We're upgrading the proxy connection to a new version of the libraries that we're using, and it's gonna be faster. It's like I think 200% faster. It's gonna have improved logging, and it's gonna have HTTPS, and it's gonna have PowerShell.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
You guys are really kicking some tail here.
Oh yeah. I agree. I think that's gonna make it like these are the more like power user oriented tools. Not everybody's
Sure.
gonna value them, but the people that do, they're gonna love them.
Absolutely. Eric said that he was having some trouble with the splash top thing, but he simply said it didn't work. So I asked him to elaborate, and hopefully we get something from him in the next couple of minutes. Worst case, I can always put you two in connection offline,
Yeah.
and you could help him out some more, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I lost what I was going to say. So this is really cool, man. So with that said, what's the feature that you're most excited about to be releasing?
Dashboards. Yeah, by far. Because that's what's going to tie everything together. We have so much already in AEM that people need, and sometimes they just don't know how to find it. So it's a big jump in user experience, but also like as a user, you want the system to tell you what to do. And I'll show you a glimpse of what we're doing.
Yes, please.
So
now, is this going to be dashboards in AEM? And will we be able to use these dashboards in Autotask PSA?
Yes and yes. So it's standalone. They're going to be built on top of our API. So you can access it in many different ways. PSA is like where it has a big role for us, of course, on the dashboard side. PSA has a fantastic dashboard engine. This is definitely inspired by that, but we still see a lot of need for widgets and views in AEM. So it's going to be built on top of that, and you're going to be able to see things like, hey, am I fully patched? Am my services that I'm delivering, that I'm responsible for, and that are they working okay? Or are there alerts and you can drill in, you can filter? Are there offline servers? Are there specific things that require action? And you will have that both on the overall account level or on the individual site level. You'll have your what jobs are running there, and then it's much more dynamic than perhaps you even expect. But it's going to be really, really cool. That is a big thing on the wish list for our customers, and that is absolutely what we're working towards too. So actionable widgets with quite a bit of flexibility, but then again we're opening it up for everyone else to if you prefer BrightGauge will be able to give you the same information essentially.
Perfect. Here's an easy one. When are you guys going to officially change the company name to Autotask?
That's not going to happen. The company name is Datto. That's going to stay. It's good. It's a good company name. It's very
Datto is a fantastic company name. I just had to tease you for that. So with that, is Autotask, is that still a company, or is it just a brand of Datto now?
The company is Datto. The products are called Autotask PSA, Autotask Endpoint Management, Autotask Workplace, etc.
Got it. So Autotask is now just a brand, a product of Datto at this point.
Yes.
I'm excited for you guys with the Datto merger. I know it's still fresh, but I feel like you have a lot that's going to happen here in the coming months.
Oh yeah, I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, Datto makes fantastic technology. I think the on the AEM side, everybody's really excited. Like generally around Autotask. I mean, we're the biggest player in the industry. We're like focused on the MSP channel with all the products that we do that we have. But like, I mean, for example, I've been playing around with the Datto networking products. Oh my God, they're awesome. And just how you manage all that from your cloud. And now the next thing coming out of that group is managed power. I mean, we're already thinking about like a lot of great things that we could be doing there. Like all these different things that we have that you need as an MSP, and we're gonna be able to work on tying that all together and building things that really make sense for our customers. Yeah.
What other cool things are Datto going to be launching?
Well, I mean, I'm not sharing anything that isn't out there. Austin did a webinar last week, I think. So I think the big new thing was managed power. So these intelligent switches that you can manage from the cloud, and then you say, hey, reboot that specific outlet and restart that server. Or I thought that was really exciting. If like the power, it's actually doing a ping, and if it's not able to reach the internet anymore, it will restart your router. And you'll be able to see like power consumption for all the different ports. I mean, that kind of stuff. It's like not seen it before, especially focused on the MSP space. You can manage it from one cloud console. It's really cool.
So I'm sure some of those features will be new. However, network connected smart surge suppressors, or whatever you want to call them, they have existed for a couple years now. I know that there's at least 2 companies that makes them.
Okay.
But the power usage, I think, is going to be new in that arena. So that's really cool. Especially, you'll be able to see how much power you're really using when you start mining all those cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm sure you heard maybe that Kaseya had some type of security breach, and 0.1%, supposedly, 0.1% of the agents basically got utilized as cryptocurrency miners. So somehow, 0.1% of Kaseya agents got Monero, I think, miners installed on them.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that subject? Let me rephrase the question. How does AEM view security for its agents and its dashboards and everything for us as an MSP?
It is essential, right? It's the most important thing. What we say, and we say this like literally every day. Availability and security are like oxygen to us. If they are not there, nothing else matters. So this is something. It's in our DNA. We have an enormous responsibility, and we take it very, very seriously. And you'll see that in a number of different things that I'll point out. So it first starts with the fact that we are just a cloud product, right? That helps significantly, because I can't imagine anymore what it is to manage 10,000 on-premises servers and where everybody has automatic updates turned off. Like that's almost impossible to secure in its own right. Like so we have our own cloud, and we have very tight control over what goes in and goes out into that cloud. So we use all kind of technologies to see what's going on, but we have a dedicated team of DevOps people. Like their whole purpose is to make sure that it's available and secure. But it starts way earlier already in our design of the product and how we manage code, for example. Like there's not a single change that happens on our platform without some other developer reviewing code from one developer, have it gone through like significant testing cycles. We have so any change like is carefully measured and deployed. We have hacker teams. We have all kinds of like rules and regulations around security access. Like it's designed from the ground up to be available and highly secure. And then I think the other thing that you'll see is that any company nowadays is a target. Anyone can be hacked. Even though if you do everything right, you're still depending on all kinds of other technologies. Mm-hmm. And what we have worked on really well hard is to make sure we first of all understand all our traffic, but if there is something that requires us to have take immediate action, we can. So we can effectively hold fix all our environments in minutes, which I mean, again, that's why we are a cloud product, and that's like, it's not something you could do if you're like an MSP and you have other obligations, you have another job. You can't keep an environment secure like how we do. It's just not affordable. It's not something you want to do. So that's why I do feel bad for all these companies out there that, like, with all their on-premises servers, and you have to manage your upgrades every single time, and they break your system, so you disable it, but then you have to test these updates, and then the point is it's just impossible to keep your own environment as secure as what we can. But even though the big companies in the world get hacked, and it's about responding and seeing what's going on as well.
I think that's good. So security is important. The fact that your cloud company makes security easier to quickly correct, and you have checks and balances in place to help prevent and mitigate any negative impact.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yeah.
Very good. Do you have any? When does, I think 6.0.0 come out?
We've not communicated a date yet. We are in the final stages of the development cycle. And then, I mean, you probably know how this works, but it depends on our QA process. So
sure.
Hopefully we don't find any bugs and we can ship it in no time. But I expect it's going to be on the early side of Q2.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to tell me Q3, Q4 next year.
No.
So within the next 3 to 6 months, we should see the next major reports release. And just to recap, that release is going to have a major overhaul of reports. And it's going to include that really cool report you showed us with
this one, yeah.
Yeah. And this one, someone was asking, so the antivirus up to date is no longer using the Windows Security Center. It's using your own built-in check, which helps you really get the right answer on that.
Yeah, it's like unimaginable the amount of work you need to do to say, like, are we secure? Because every antivirus vendor, like ESET, Bitdefender, Webroot, everybody stores it in a different way, and we have to pull all kinds of tricks to get it, like, from the different products and different versions. But we don't want people to do that using scripts anymore. And Windows Security Center, I mean, it's just not it's a great system, but it's not available on servers, which makes it not that great.
It's great for what it is, but what it is not is something that MSPs should be relying on for 100% reporting on all of their systems.
I'll show you this one. So we have the same version, by the way. We redesigned our device summary page, and you'll see all that information appear in a new status area. It's really cool as well. So you have your AV information, your patch information, your alerts, your tickets, your warranty, device status, all in a single section. So really happy with that one. Makes it much easier to, like, instead of having to click through a number of tabs, you can just in one go see what's up.
I really like that. And that is going to be the new device summary screen in 6.0.
Yeah.
That's very nice. So, I mean, I feel like at some point you could almost get rid of the agent browser on our end, just because you're adding what I feel like are bits of information that I would be getting from the browser, from the agent.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Do you have any final words of wisdom? It's 2:30, so it is time for us to wrap up. And I'll see if anyone has any last minute questions.
Well, no specific words of wisdom. I think I highly encourage everyone to either reach out or, like, if you're an AEM customer, interact with us on the community. We do read everything, and we review. We're not magicians, so we can't give you everything the same day. But I think what most customers like will see here is that we are addressing exactly what people want. I mean, you'll see that, like, the things that I've showed you today are exactly the kind of things that people have voted for in the community. I mean, they've been on our radar for a number of reasons as well. But look us up. Like, email me, go to our community. Always happy to answer your questions.
Matej, you're always welcome here, man. Anytime you want to pop on and show off some new features or show off the roadmap, anything, you just let me know.
Sure thing.
Thank you, everyone that had questions. I appreciate that. If anyone has questions that they want to ask after we go offline, we might be able to stick around for a few minutes, and then otherwise you can just shoot me an email, and I will try and pass the information along to Matej, and he will forward it to the appropriate party. So with that said, thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Matej, for presenting. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and check out mspwebinars.com. I have some really awesome new things that I've been putting up there. All of the past webinars are now available up there. And I'm starting to basically take all of the stuff that I've had on Patreon and I'm putting it up on the website. But Patreon is not going away. It's going to stay. Okay, so don't worry. I'm not switching platforms on you guys. I'm just making it easier to access everything. Thursday we have an MSP roundtable, and later this month we have MSP CFO coming in to present and show off their product as well. You can go to mspwebinars.com, and you can also see the entire schedule. And so if you guys have any questions or anything, let us know. Matej?
Way to go, Steve.
Thank you.
You're kicking ass as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I try.
Keep it up.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you next time.